What's going on, everyone? It's Ricky with Learn Plan Profit. Hope you guys are all having an amazing day. So I do want to apologize for the slight delayed live stream. So we are about 34 minutes behind schedule. I'm actually running on about 2 hours of sleep, a little bit less than that. So I had to get that. In reality, I 100% want to apologize again for that. So I'll explain this in just a little bit as everyone is tuning in. But let's go ahead and start doing some breakdowns. I'm going to do a couple technical analysis and some updates on some of the stocks that are on my watch list. I'm going to then dedicate some time to, what's it called? Then I'm going to be dedicating some time to doing some technical analysis on the stocks that you guys call out. And then from that point forward, then I'm going to just talk about it and answer some questions and then give some updates and stuff like that. So good morning from Houston. What's going on? So Gustavo looks like he's not liking the markets right now. Adriana is saying that I'm a little too quiet. So let's see. Hope you guys are. If you guys are tuning in live, let me know in the what's it called? In the live chat. So that's what it is. So let's do the live chat. Neck pillow time. Oh man, I wish. I think I actually left the neck pillow like next door or something like that. So what's going on, guys? What's going on? What's up? What's up? I like it. I like it. So actually, there's some good news for those that were trading DGAS or were watching DGAS for a potential reversal. Right now, as you guys can see, DGAS on the 1-day 1-minute chart, it's right around that middle view up. It's trying very hard to actually hold above. The thing that I liked about, if you guys saw my update, obviously it was pretty late. What the heck? /DGAS. No, I'm sorry, that's not how it works. /NG. We can see that /NG right now is actively trending down between the middle view up and bottom view up. That's exactly what we want to see when it comes down to seeing the potential reversal in pattern for something like DGAS. Looking at this on this, like, even if you take a step back and look at this on this 180-day chart, do you see this curling pattern right here, right? We could also take another step back and ask ourselves on this 90-day analysis, do you see the curling pattern right here? Right? Yes, it can bounce and then it continue to trend up, but it would also make sense on why this thing would hit a peak and then continue to trend down and potentially bounce on this SMA line, right? Or potentially at this support based on previous patterns. So it's a lot of consolidation at around the support at around 2.65. Write that down. Support for natural gas within this 90-day analysis. We can see the overall support, very horizontal support at 2.65. Overall resistance is usually at around 2.80, and that's why it would make sense for this thing to start to peak here and then continue to trend down from that point forward. Looking at it at the 1-day 1-minute chart, you guys are going to be able to see where I have my alerts. My first alert is if it breaks above 2.78. So do you guys see anything interesting that is happening at around 2.78? I apologize. What do you guys see around the 2.78 area on the 1-day 1-minute chart? Let me know. Let's see. Morning from Kuwait, my first Learn Plan Profit, and wow, that's super cool. What's going on, Chris Turner? Ooh. What's up, Coach? What's going on, Joseph? Joko. Your sound is fine. Let's go. Nice. Ricky, you seem tired. I'm running on 2 hours of beauty sleep. That's what I like to call it. Middle VWAP. Exactly. You guys are doing great. So, yeah, exactly. So you guys could see the middle VWAP that we see right here, right around 2.78. We see the overall resistance right around 2.80. 80, and the overall support at around 2.76. That is where I see my current. Do you guys see why at this specific price point? It's actually not because of that. It's because of, where is it at? 2.75. Let's see. 5-day, 5-minute. I was looking for a breakup pattern. It looked like it did some consolidation and it wasn't able to break below 2.76 as of yesterday, right? And another thing that I also noticed is that if we look at the 2.75, this is where the setting up trend support would be. I would like to see if it actually continues to break that. So these are where my alerts are if it goes at or below, right? So 2.76, 2.75 for natural gas, which then will be in favor, in my opinion, for my current position on DGAS. We can see that DGAS is trying to push up intraday. You know, that's great and all, but we don't know 100% if it's going to continue to rally up, especially because there's a lot of consolidation that's happening right around the middle of the VWAP. Something to take into hand. Also, we see a slight resistance right around 2.26.70. So then you have to ask yourself, is this margin even worth it? It might not be, right? Therefore, I just wanted to explain to you on what I expect for natural gas for it to play out, and then how that correlates over to the overall position for something like DGAS. I'm also going to set my alert for DGAS, so we can do like a 5-day, 5-minute. We can see that the SMA. Oh, I already have my alert set. I guess I can set my alert ahead of time, even prior to that. So we can set some form of alert like right here, and we can go from there. But let me see. Wow, that's so cool. So give a shout out to my daughters Ava and Kate, sitting in my lap watching the computer. What's going on, Ava and Kate? Hope you guys are all enjoying my very boring live stream. So man, I should, if I knew like younger people were watching, I'd try to be a little bit more entertaining. And my voice is a little bad. So but anyways, your dad's cool. So or your parents are cool. So. Correct. Yes. Yes, 100%. So today is Wednesday, and that is why we need to take into consideration that the natural gas report is what's it called? Going to be happening on Thursday. Future traders like that. Okay. Getting rejected. Yep, exactly. Perfect. What's going on, Jamila? Happy to have you here. So we could see that right now DGAS is trying to curve back up. I like that pattern. Doesn't mean 100% that it's going to actually end up recovering itself. I have my alert set up here right now. I'm also going to set my alert if there's a break of pattern to see if it actually breaks the support, and go from there. All right. Now that I broke down DGAS, because DGAS is one of the positions that I'm actually still holding. So with that understanding, I wanted to share that with you guys and explain to you my whole thought process on how I'm looking at natural gas and how that correlates over, in my opinion, to my current position on DGAS. So just want to share that with you guys. And now that we have that taken care of, I'm going to break down the stocks in my watch list. And if there are still some of you that have a stock that you see value in that's actively trending up and that offers a margin of profit that's worth taking this week, or something that you want to share with the group, then you can call it out, and I'd be more than happy to break it down. If it's actively trending down, right, it's a descending pattern, and the opportunity cost isn't worth it, then you can direct message me or share it within the Learn Plan Profit group. But this wouldn't be the time or the best time for me to do a breakdown on that. So just again, be considerate for the other people within the group. So right now on DGAS, I'm sorry, on what's it called, on ticker symbol F. One thing that we did notice is that, well, first of all, its earning report should have ended up coming out today. There was a slight little drop. This is something that we're definitely going to want to follow up with, as because of this drop, the overall support that it was consolidating at was right around this SMA line. We need to make sure that we don't get in too early, as it might be too early to tell if the overall catalyst is a negative catalyst or a positive catalyst. So looking at this, so this 10-day, 30-minute chart, we could see that it's been getting rejected by this SMA line, right? It had this slight pullback, and so it's 4:30 p.m. that they're going to be announcing their earnings today on the 25th. And because of the sell-off, I'm not going to be very motivated to want to hold. So before I do a technical analysis and waste time on that, let's just follow up with this one tomorrow and see what ends up happening. I think that's a pretty safe plan. ESV, earning report on the 26th. Definitely something to take into consideration. Looking at the 20-minute chart, yep, 180-day chart, definitely. Let me ask you guys this, and I think you guys can all answer. So I'm gonna make the chat live. I don't know if you guys like when I do this, but let me know. So when looking at the overall pattern, when looking at this overall pattern, this ascending uptrend pattern, understanding that ESV usually trades between this area right here from $5 to $6 is the current price point that it's at right now, a good deal. It's not can it continue to trend up, but is it a good deal? And the reason that I asked that is it's going to be having its earnings report, right? Or actually had its earnings. It's on the 26th, but it did announce its earnings already today. But then it has its earnings call tomorrow on the 26th at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. So something that you have to ask yourself is this a good deal? And not even just that, but knowing that it has its earnings within the next 24 hours, we can make the assumption that if the earnings are not as expected, because the current price is so overbought based on previous patterns, it's so overextended, can we not expect a pullback, right? Because it's so overpriced, and if they do not hit its expectations, even if they hit their expectations, but it's still overpriced and they don't exceed it by a certain amount, then we might experience a certain pullback. This has happened multiple times with companies that are so overbought by the time that they go through earnings that they happen to go through a pullback even if they end up hitting the earnings, but it's just because they're so overpriced to a point where it just didn't make sense for them. So with that understanding, I mean, I have a video in the course that explains kind of like that whole thought process and the whole psychology behind that. So be sure to break that down. So not a good deal. Your ESV is overextended. No deal. I like that. I like it. I like it. Boom. What's going on, Don? Okay, I'm not doing technical analysis right now, so if you guys can just hold off on that real quick, that would be great. Wow. JDST broke above $51. That's exactly what we wanted to see. Did we not talk about this? And you guys did your own technical analysis, and this is definitely something that, you know, a lot of people that followed up with this one ended up doing very well with. But did we not talk about this where JNUG had been, when it started actively trending down below this EMA line, we were waiting for a confirmation, right? We're waiting for this thing to either get rejected. We talked about this one in yesterday's live stream, that it was showing signs of a rejection on this 180-day EMA. And we wanted to follow up with it to see if it actually actively broke above the EMA and then continued to rally, or got rejected as it did, and then JDST would, you know, shoot up. And that's a very important pattern to know. So JDST, as you can see, it did a lot of consolidation at the EMA line, and then it bounced, started to recover and push up. So looking at the overall pattern for /GC, we could see that now /G is showing to be more at a support. It's still actively trending down, but then you also want to take into consideration on does now /GC have the potential to recover and then end up trading back within the margin of 1320 to 1360, since this has been such a consistent support and such a consistent resistance. Definitely something that you might want to ask yourself. Let's see. So looking at, let's see. Yep, so we could see that a lot of the margin that actually ended up covering was all, you know, during pre-market and extended hours. But as we can see right now, it's trying to trade in between the bottom view up and the top view up, and that margin should be pretty decent. Nope, actually no, 1.4%. So it looks like the opportunity cost and that margin might not even be there. I want you guys to share your opinion on that. Like, how does that make you feel? That like what do you guys see with JDST, with understanding that /GC is, you know, finding a support at around 1320 based on previous patterns? It doesn't mean that it has to find it. It just means that it does have a high probability to potentially find it. So with that understanding, you know, are you comfortable getting in still to JDST? Do you think that /GC is too oversold and you're kind of anxious? I want to hear what you guys have to say. Jerry, we're not doing breakdowns right now for I'm focusing on the stocks on my watch list first. Yes, Sophia, you're right. Not worth the risk after overnight jump. 2% potential for profit with a 1% stop loss doesn't sound like a good ratio to me. I like that. I am waiting for the confirmation on JNUG. Still want to wait for JNUG. All right. No, Jerry, you don't have to apologize. There's a couple other people that were doing it. I'd love to break down your stock. Let's just wait for, you know, for the time for me to break down your stock. Exactly. And I think everyone that just I think that everyone is correct in a sense. So I think forward slash GC will probably reverse, just need to wait. What I would like to wait for is kind of think about it right now, as in like, especially within this, there's this very consistent margin between 1320 to 1360. No question about it. I think that we could all agree, right? Very consistent pattern. Has it ever gone below 1320? 100%, multiple times, right? And can this time it go all the way back down? Potentially, right? Especially if gold goes up when there's like very like there's a series of catalysts of what could cause gold to go up. But obviously, when our economy isn't doing well, and when we're talking about war, you're going to see gold prices go up. But then when we see news that like North Korea is going to bring back their weapons, right, and it's going to reassure people that like war is not so like permanent like in our near future, then obviously maybe gold prices that can act as a catalyst for gold prices to go down. That's the kind of like the what on the back end, right? Now when it comes down on the technical side, what can we do as traders to wait for, to understand when it would be a good time to either trade JDST or JNUG? Understanding that right now 1320 is a potential support, what can we wait for forward slash GC to find JDST to be a good buy to swing trade? Wouldn't it make sense to wait for a break of support for this thing to continue to trend down? Because when this goes down, JDST goes up, and then we can capitalize on the margin from about like maybe $52 to, if it continues to sell off to about low 1300s, to maybe like $56, $57. That's a pretty decent margin. That's 10%, right? But wouldn't it make sense to wait for the confirmation or the overall rejection of this EMA line? Just that scared the bejeebers out of me. All right, SPN is actively trending up. That's good to know. And that's something that I want you guys to ask yourself, is like, what is it that I'm waiting for as a confirmation to give myself the reassurance if I'm going to be investing in JNUG or if I'm going to be investing in JDST. Now, I talked about what can act as a catalyst or what can happen to potentially invest in JDST. What about JNUG, right? There's 100% potential that JNUG can start to reverse and start to pick up. We would need forward slash GC to find its support at 1320. We would need it to start actively, in my opinion, I would need the candles to start trading above the EMA, just like we saw this. Like right now, we're actively trending down. I need it to consolidate, and as you can see, it takes time, and then it breaks above the EMA, and then it starts to actively trend up, bounce, pull back on the EMA, pushes up, bounce, pulls back, pushes up, and then hits its resistance. So what is it that we need to wait for? Confirmation. And that's why I'm going to set my alert at 1330. Very simple. And again, this was more of an in-depth breakdown, but I wanted you guys to understand the technical reason on why I would then choose to take a position on JDST or JNUG. I want you guys to understand both ends and what I need to happen. So let me know if you guys found that to be helpful or not. Don, I don't know if you've ever said this before, but this just brought back like a flashback, or I don't know what. But yeah, I like that. You guys are good on that. Yep. For JDST, I would wait for it to bounce on the 180-day and get that confirmation. I like that. Yep. The pullback confirmation forward slash GST getting rejected by 50 EMA. That's good. Waiting for, waiting and feeling very anxious. Okay. I like that. Nice. Perfect. Okay. I like that you guys are liking the more in-depth breakdown. Good question, Jordan. I'm gonna save like those questions to a little bit more later on, but I'll answer that in just a little bit. You're always helpful. Okay, appreciate that, guys. So Reiki is psychic. Oh, do you guys think that I'm speaking a little bit a little bit slower today? Is that do you guys think that? I like it. Okay. Well, I hope that he said, I want to apologize for your 2 hours of sleep, but I can actually keep up today with your words. So that's not bad, right? We could see right now that DGAS is actively trending up, which is what I wanted to see. I'm sorry if it's not what you wanted to see, but that's exactly what I wanted to see because I wanted to start making lower lows. As you guys can see, I have my alerts set here. So it's playing out. It's playing out, and I might start to add to my position once it starts breaking above certain resistance levels. And I already talked about those right here. But I need there to be some like pullback confirmations, and then for it to continue the uptrend pattern. Again, the market has just been open for about 1 hour, so we have time to go. So pretty pumped on that. But yeah, so we talked about this one. We talked about and the DS just broke above 26.76. Good. We talked about the overall push, right, that this thing has been experiencing with the overall resistance. It did receive a pullback confirmation. Again, in my honest opinion, it's too close. So again, it's too overbought. Not such a good deal for me. And that's why, in my honest opinion, it's just I would see more. It's kind of showing this pattern right here. Do you guys see this area right here where it pushed back, pulled back, pushed up, and then it continued to trend down? That's what I think is going to happen. And then I think if I were to wait for a buy, it would be more around this area, right? For this pattern to reflect where it continues to trend down, it consolidates, it breaks above, and then we actively start to uptrend again. And within this margin, I find that to be much more attractive than this much small margin, right? It's not just that, okay, 2 or 3% is attractive. It's that, okay, I'm getting a good deal. I understand that I'm close to or near to the support. So therefore, if there's a breakup pattern, I can simply cut losses. But if it starts to go my way, then I know that I'm going to be able to capitalize on it. Wow, natural gas is pulling back. I think they heard me talking smack about it, huh? Oh, there we go. And yep, JDST is definitely doing very well. So, okay. Not bad. All right. Let's take a look. JDST. We talked about JDST already. A lot of consolidation going on. I think it needs to receive a pullback confirmation, but we already went into detail about that already. So, and then this is in correlation to DRIP and then to Gush. So DRIP is starting to try to recover, or Gush is starting to try to recover today intraday. A lot of consolidation that's happening right around that $30 price point, which is great for DRIP. It's showing signs of this potential. What do we call this? Curling pattern, right? And a potential reversal. Looking at the overall pattern for /CL, you can see that that thing is overextended. You think that you could easily see that, okay, this SMA line has been acting as a support, and it's definitely showing signs of a potential downward pattern. The thing that I have not been able to see Gush do is break below this $30 support. It continues to validate it once, twice, 3 times, 4 times. The more that it validates it, the stronger that support becomes. But also, once it breaks it, then that's the reassurance that we have a more full-on confirmation of that full downward pattern, right? And that's when I think DRIP can excel, not just break above $9, but potentially recover, as this thing I think can sell off to the SMA indicator. Then I think that's when DRIP can recover to about potentially $11 or $12, because that would bring it back to around 24. So again, just food for thought on why it's so important to wait for the confirmation. So I think Gush and DRIP are going to be big players in the next couple of days. I don't think maybe this week. I think later, as we get more of a confirmation that Gush is going to actively start trending down, then that's when we can prepare to take advantage of the DRIP pattern. But again, we need to wait for the confirmation. Right now, ENPH with that nice little pullback. Again, we called it out. Resistance at around $5. Looks like it got rejected. It makes sense. Potential bounce at around 350. I think so. So based on previous patterns, it validates the SMA. Again, let's wait for the confirmation. Let's wait for it to start trending up. And within the SMA indicator, that's around where we think that it can potentially bounce. Same thing for TELL. TELL was actively trending up. It saw a slight pullback. Right now, it's starting to consolidate. The candles are kind of trading below the EMA, but not really, not too much. I think one thing you want to ask yourself, is there a complete break of pattern? I think there is a break of pattern based on how it was actively trending up, but I think we also have to take into consideration that now it's trading back within the margin of around $9 to $12. And also there's these slight resistance levels like, you know, $10 and stuff like that, like every dollar price point that are going to be acting as resistance. Just something you want to take into consideration before taking your next position, especially if it's going to be in something like TELL. Same thing is happening with WTW. Do you see very similar patterns on a lot of these stocks that we're talking about that were actively trending up? Look at this. Do you guys see that? Even with these like lower cap stocks, you can kind of see it there. OAS is like one of the only ones that is still actively trending up. Oh. ESV showing signs of a slight pullback. Oh, Adriana is saying, I actually really like that. Thank you again. Saying that sometimes I hear other people analyzing stocks and I get so overwhelmed, and I don't understand, and I don't know anything. You make it so simple. Really happy to hear that. And if there's certain things that I talk about in certain ways, if you can, Adriana, direct message me on what you really like, on what I focus on, and I'll make sure that I continue to do that. So thank you again for the feedback. I actually have been eating Chipotle. We understand when he doesn't. I actually ate Chipotle last night at around 2 in the morning. I had my leftovers. So, yeah. All right, I'm going to answer a couple questions, then I'm going to do a couple technical analysis for all of you guys, and then we can kind of go from there. Let me know what you guys think about that. All right. I actually want to show you guys something real quick. There's this slight pullback confirmation, and I want to see if we actually start actively pushing up. Here we go. Can you guys see my screen? Shoot. Okay, this is what I want to see, and I don't want to force it. We saw that there's that solid push up, right? There's a pullback, and then is this going to be a pullback confirmation? So what I want to see is not that it just starts to actively trend up, but that it breaks above 270. Do you see how it's struggling to break above that price point? So what I'm going to do is I'll take another $10,000 position. So 10,000 divided by 2670. About 375 shares. So I think I can take 400 shares though. So what I can do is I can do command buy, right? For all those that are always asking how is it that I buy, I can click edit. I can buy, let's see if it lets me 400 shares with a limit order of 270. Again, I want to wait for the break above that. So let's see if I could actually get the break above that. Give me one quick second. For all those that want to say something, here you go. That's a good question. If you want, give me one quick second. I'll break it down for you. CL massive sell-off. So, oh, that just dropped 50 cents. That should be in favor of Gush. I mean, in favor of Drip. Why is Drip not here? Nice. Really nice push-up. Wow. Really, really nice push-up. So Diaz currently getting rejected by the price point of 270. And again, if it gets rejected, I don't want to buy, right? Let's look at /CL. It looks like it might be trying to, what the heck? I didn't know you could do that. Oh no, what did I do? We could see right here, it's having this consolidation happening at the bottom VWAP. Very solid sell-off that I had going on right now. It is trying to catch right now, so it is pushing up, which means that that is not in favor of Diaz, and That's where we're seeing kind of this curling pattern, right? So then I'm just going to have to follow up this one and make sure that I get in at a good price point. If it can continue to hold above the middle VWAP, and seeing if that margin intraday can be worth it and stuff like that, so then I can cover my position. So drip got rejected at 905. Great call out. Amy, I would really look out for IO, as it's definitely been pushing up, but also something that you want to ask yourself is it still a good deal, or is it overextended? So just take that into consideration. If you still want to hold, all power to you. But yeah, just understand that. I think you mean /NG. I'm not too sure what I said. I tried to say /NG. Yeah, I do apologize if I did it. Yeah, so let's see if we can. There we go. Drip is definitely pushing up. I like that. All right, and then for any of those that have any questions on specific stocks that you want me to break down, let's go ahead and do it. Just make sure that they're in the ticker symbol call out. Make sure that they're not stocks that we've broken down already. So if you've called this one out every single day this week, isn't very effective, right? Oh, there we go. Let's see. What the heck? Come on. There we go. Rejection. Shoot. There we go. We got buyers at 2.74, sellers at 2.75. It's going to push up from here. Let's see if I can get filled at 2.73. Can there be a slight little pullback where it offers somewhat opportunity? Let's see. There we go. I got filled at 26.725. Okay. Pullback is coming. Let's see. All right. So you guys should have probably a couple stocks that you guys want me to break down, right? Let's follow up with it. I'm just going to set my alerts just so I can stay up to date with the overall pattern while I do your breakdowns. All right. Appreciate that. Thank you. All right. I've definitely I 100% can like understand where you're coming from. This is a very good point, and I'm sure some of you guys feel that way. Sometimes it seems that ETFs waiting for the confirmation to jump in. There isn't much profit left to be made, and most activity happens at night, meaning that it happens during extended hours. I don't think that's wrong. But I don't 100% think that's always right either. There's a lot of activity that happens, during extended hours, and that's why it's so important to understand when that reversal is coming. So even if you do want to get in before the confirmation, just understand that you are taking on a risk by getting in before the confirmation, but you're okay with that, and you do it in a certain strategy that we've talked about before, as in taking smaller positions and then averaging up like that, then it would make sense, right? So maybe something, if you're paper trading or simulation trading, something that you might want to test out, see what your success rate is on being able to determine when these reversals are happening. And if it's good, then hey, there's nothing wrong with it. I feel like sometimes I do get in before the reversal, but it doesn't always work in my favor. Sometimes I get in way too early, right? And because of that, I take where I have to hold it for maybe a longer period that I'm usually comfortable with. So just something that you guys might want to take into consideration. So does all the things that we talk about here apply to international stocks as well? I mean, it has to do with patterns. So patterns are, I think, pretty universal. So let's do that. Why? So this one's actively trending down, but so this one's not one that I wouldn't spend too much time breaking down. Actively trending up, overall resistance right around $14. Looks like it's getting rejected. Looks like the SMA has acted as a support, but it's also broken way far below that. Then it breaks above the EMA. So yeah. TVIX. TVIX is showing signs of a potential recovery. I think this has to do with the overall market pullback on gold prices, which pushes the overall price back up, right, for something like TVIX. I would be very iffy if this would actually start to hold. Watch out for the break, as right now we're at a resistance, but if it starts to push up, then I do see the reason on why this thing can continue to rally. Just make sure that you understand the fundamental reason on why these things are rising. We could see it based on previous patterns, a resistance right around $12. Support was pretty consistent right around $6 to $6.50, so something to take into consideration. HMNY, I really don't know why people are still talking about this one. Strong descending pattern. I'm not going to spend any time doing this. I just don't understand it. INTC. So INTC, great, solid, consistent uptrend pattern, very close to the SMA line and the EMA, right? So it's actively trending down as of now. I would watch out for the earnings and how that can act as a catalyst. I would set your alerts at the break above 52. Again, this is Intel. The margin of profit, in my honest opinion, isn't really necessarily there, but it's not horrible, right? From $52 for the overall confirmation to the resistance right around 54, it's about 4%. So that's great. I'd follow up after its earnings and see if it actually starts to actively trend up, and it's been struggling to break above 52 and hold above that price point. So just something to take into consideration. So actively trending up, and again, I see this very consistent pattern. I mean, this is very similar to like ticker symbol IO, very consistent ascending uptrend pattern for American Eagle, right? And it's just, you just have to ask yourself, do you understand this pattern? Is it consistent enough for me to be able to profit off of it? And if so, great. Set up a plan, set up your understanding of the support, the resistance, and how you can, profit off of this. I see a resistance right around $22 in my opinion, right? Based on previous patterns, there's a previous resistance which now acted as a new support right around $21. So this $1 margin, based on this being a $22 stock, offers nearly about 5%, right? That's not bad, especially as it's actively trading up. The MACD is pointing up. It makes sense. So let's follow up with this one, see if it actually covers that margin, and if so, great. And if it doesn't, then understand the pattern. So if there's a break of pattern, you can cut losses. Is there a break of pattern if it pulls back to $21? No, right? That's not a break of pattern. Right now, today was the first screen day. I think that it could push up, pull back, and still be around $21, and then continue the uptrend rally to around 22. So good call out. Who was this? Patrick, thank you. Jordan, just make sure that you use the ticker call out format for the next one, please. So TEUM actively trading up. Again, volume definitely dying out. Looks like it gets easily manipulated. I personally would stay away from this one. I don't understand these patterns enough. I think they're extremely volatile and extremely manipulative. That's why I would like to stay away. Just my honest opinion on this. When I place a limit order on TOS, it executes at market price. If you set your limit order above the current market price, then yes, it will fill at market price. So you need to make sure that you're buying it at below market price. DGAS above 20. Thank you. Appreciate following up with me on that. Thank you, Adam, and thank you. Is it Subrat? So what is the day trade limitation? Not the PDT. It has to do, that's the same thing. You have a series of day trades that you're able to take within a short period of time. So TOS does a really good job letting you know what that is. So that's just something that you have to take into consideration. When am I up on this? Yikes. Okay. Yeah, I already answered this question. Appreciate this one, Christian. EW. Let's break it down. Okay, so it did just have a massive sell-off, so there's a potential dip buy potential that this thing does have to offer. If I see the other time that it did have this dip buy potential, they take time. Usually they don't recover all the way back up, especially if they're not extremely volatile stocks. So it takes time for them to continue to descend, and then when they break above the EMA, they start to catch and then catch more traction, and then they begin to recover. That's just based on even this specific pattern for EW as well. That's something that I would take into consideration before trying to get in right now, thinking that it's going to go all the way back up, when then it could actually start to descend and consolidate right around the 120 area. So let's follow up with this one if you can do me a favor. Christian, let's follow up with this one in about 1 week. We already talked about TVIX. Ricky, I gotta go to class. Have a good day, bro. All right, have a good day, Jordan. Let's see. LABU. So this is showing signs of a descending pattern. I do see the potential support to be at around $70. I would like to wait for the reversal. So I'm going to hold you accountable for this. Denver, Smith, if you can do me a favor and next week or when you set your alerts for there to be a reversal breakout, then feel free to let me know and then we'll go ahead and break it together. We'll break it down as a group. There we go. And right now, it's still too much consolidation happening right now. That's something that I see too much value and stuff like that. Still showing signs of a descending pattern. This one's extremely volatile. I find it to be a much better buy at around $6. Does that make sense? Looking at this 180-day analysis, it would make sense on if I were to wait for the reversal closer here to the $6 support, it would make much more sense. Right now, we're getting too close to the resistance based on previous patterns, and yes, it's covered this margin before, but it's not very consistent. So just something to take into consideration, especially as I know nothing about that stock. CL just hit a resistance. Good to know. Thank you for the follow-up. Yeah, so what's going on, P-Rod? So I think I got a direct message from you. I actually have a lot of direct messages that I have to follow up with. So Eric is saying Robinhood, that's a potential one you might want to potentially. Camera is frozen. What the? Oh. It's probably going to tune back in. I do apologize for that, guys. I hope that at least my face isn't that ridiculous there. This is a more ridiculous face. That's ridiculous. But yeah, I do apologize for that. So let's just try to focus on my voice, and sorry for the delay right now. But what was I going to say? We do have a brokerage list within the course. So there's a brokerage list and talks about the different brokerages and the pros and the cons from each brokerage list. I talk about TD Ameritrade, Charles Schwab. I talk about Robinhood. I talk about SureTrader. All these international and global brokerages that are really popular that you might want to consider, you might want to call, you might want to email on why they might be the best suit for you. So just take time, don't rush it. And yeah, Robinhood is a decent one if you're just getting started and you want to get your feet wet. So something to take into consideration. A lot of people talking about Apple right now. If I'm not mistaken, Apple had a pretty solid sell-off. So let's see what happens. Not sure what's going on right now. Okay, there we go. So Apple is starting to show signs of a potential recovery. Not really though, still actively trending down. So we could set our alerts for the break above 165. So until then, it's still actively trending down. So I like that, again, just one green day doesn't mean anything. It's still actively trending down. And also the earnings, watch out for that. to take that into consideration. It does have a pretty nice margin from around 165 to 175, which is a pretty steep margin for one of the largest multi-billion-dollar companies. So something that you might want to take into consideration for maybe a potential swing trade, in my opinion, after earnings comes out. So yeah. Is my face still frozen? Yeah. Yeah, so Benjamin, I already did. No, don't worry about it. You might have, you know, uh, just tuned in a little bit late. Maybe your best side. Tim, you're a punk. All right, WEN. So I understand the webcam is frozen. Thank you guys again for letting me know. SMA line acting as a support. Do you guys see this consolidation, almost this very horizontal pattern? Do you guys see this? I don't know about you guys, but I love when I'm able to like identify these. Resistance right around 1750. Again, I'm being a little conservative. And overall support right around, what is this? 1675. So as long as it stays within that margin, I would find that to be very attractive. Margin isn't huge, 4.44, and it looks like it is trying to recover and it's trying to validate that. I'd like to see a couple more bars for this thing to continue to start recovering, and then for a full-on confirmation, that would be at the break above here, and then just the margin would be a little bit less. So you can do an average up position leading up to that confirmation, and then the overall resistance right around 1750, which is about 2.29% left after you get that confirmation. So great call out. I really like that consistent pattern. Make sure that if it breaks below this specific pattern and it starts to actively trend down, that you don't bag hold, because that's a definite break pattern. So thank you, Jeremy. Yep, Apple's earnings coming up. Ricky with the Blues. Oh my goodness. Appreciate it. All right. So it looks like we did a couple breakdowns. Looks like a good amount of our traders were able to get their call outs out. I actually really like that because we're doing really good with time. Following up with DGAS, still showing signs of a, do you guys see this upward staircase pattern that it's been showing, right? This upward staircase pattern where it continues to try to make lower highs. That's actually, I mean, higher lows, meaning that it's showing signs of this like ascending uptrend pattern. Did I speak too soon? Let's follow up with this one, but it's not going as low as it is before based on previous patterns, which is pretty consistent. It is really struggling to try to hold above 2670. As you can see, it's having a little bit of a sell-off. So just something that you guys might want to take into consideration. But maybe waiting for a potential reversal would also be pretty effective in that perspective as well. Right now we are getting or catching a pretty solid support right around 2.76. That's why I have my alert set here, because I think that this would be a good time for for it to potentially get rejected. But just know that, again, as this is descending, it's not just going to continue to get rejected by this, but it's going to try to push up, then get rejected by the middle VWAP, and then continue to trend down, make lower lows and stuff like that. So that means that DGAS will also be pulling back and stuff like that. So understand the pattern and how that works. So let's see. TELL is back up. Wow, crypto getting torn up today. TERN. Okay, let's do those. SQ. We talked about this one yesterday. Those showing signs of a descending pattern. So yeah, nothing new there. GERN is showing signs of an uptrend pattern, validating this SMA line, as you guys could see, as an overall support. I would like to see a little bit more of a sell-off and then a confirmation on the SMA line, and if it confirms, then it would make sense on why this can make a potential good swing trade. very consistent pattern on this SMA line, overall support here, and then overall resistance. It looks like it does a pretty good job with an average percent of how far it usually pushes away from that. So that's pretty solid. I would like for it to be a little bit closer, just like it was like maybe 2 or 3 days ago at around the SMA line. So something that we can take into consideration. Okay, just be on the lookout for a potential pullback, and if the overall pattern for /GC ends up bouncing at 1320, then that just might be something you might want to take into consideration on why to sell Diaz. I mean, why to sell JDST. Okay, sweet. All right, guys. I don't understand this specific. So I understand average up, but I just wanted to understand better. So I have a whole video in the Learn Plan Profit Lesson Library talking about. Have you watched that? Yeah, so the whole point of like me averaging up on Diaz and what it is that I'm seeing is as I see it making an upward staircase pattern, then just adding more to my position as it begins to recover when it's trading in between the middle and top view op. So again, just focusing on not averaging down when it continues to descend, but to average down when it's ascending. So that's I've talked about that in the course itself. So Gush ended up recovering pretty aggressively. It looks like it's selling off back again. So let's go ahead and, wow. I really do apologize for the delay and what's going on. I'm going to reset my computer right after this, but I'm going to spend some time on, what's it called, catching up /CL selling off. So that should be in favor of DRIP. But I'm going to be following up with all the people that direct message me. I really do appreciate you guys reaching out and stuff like that. So thank you guys again for your time. Is there any other questions? So there's a couple more breakdowns that some of you guys are asking. So again, I already did a majority of them. Let's see. Okay, so like you guys can answer this. Like you guys are smart people. Does this look like a good deal right now? Does this look like a good deal? Can you guys help answer this and assist me? Does this look like a good deal? Look how overextended. I'm going to talk to you on why it's not such a good deal. It's overextended from this SMA line, right? It's showing signs of a lot of consolidation, and it's actively now starting to potentially show signs of this curling pattern, which means that the overall rejection might start to happen. Okay. And then I'm going to do one last one. Someone asked me to break down Google and stuff like that. As you can see, Google is showing signs of a pretty solid support. Again, I would like to wait for the overall reversal. If you could see this descending pattern from its resistance, not something that's very attractive, so make sure you note that. So this can be definitely something that we can follow up with when it starts to show more signs of growth. But again, one, because of its earnings and because of the sell-off, just take that into consideration on why it might continue to sell off to about $1,000, and then it'll start to recover from there. So definitely something to follow up with. But I'm going to end the live stream here. Yeah, curling pattern. Look at it. Okay, I'll check it out. I refreshed my page and the quality got better, FYI. Okay, appreciate that, Tyler. So I apologize for the technical difficulties of my camera freezing and stuff like that. Looks like it's still frozen right now. I hope that you guys all have an amazing rest of your Wednesday. I'm going to be catching up, what's it called, on my direct messages throughout, for the next like 2 to 3 hours. Thank you for the breakdown. Of course, thank you guys again for taking time out of your day and joining me on this live stream.
I'm going to be posting this and reposting this just like we always do in the morning live chat for the Learn Plan Profit private group. If you have any great call outs that you want to call out for the group, feel free to call it out here. So you don't have to, again, you could see when people, like when you call something out like incorrectly, they'll X you out. So again, because you're not breaking it down like everyone else is in this full ticker symbol format. So with that understanding, if you have an amazing call out, feel free to call it out and then go into the main chat or in the Q&A and be like, hey, what do you guys think about, like make a buddy within our chat and ask other people for their opinion so you guys can go back and forth and stuff like that. I think that could be a very effective strategy as you guys are, kind of just benefiting one another by assisting one another on how it is that you guys see value and certain indicators, because we all see value in different way, certain indicators that someone else can see that you don't see on why it might or might not be such a good buy. Again, just something to take into consideration. So that is really just it. So I hope you, thank you again, Matthew. I'm going to try to see. I have not. No, I actually have to upload that one right now. Thank you again for reminding me. So I'm going to try to see if I can take like a 1 hour nap just because we're going to have like a video that we're going to be filming at around like I think 10 a.m., 10, 11 a.m. Right now it's 8 a.m. and stuff like that. So still running on, I think honestly, less than 2 hours of sleep. Are we? Yeah, it was me and Justin that were up for all those. First, so TELL just went above 10.17. So that's actually pretty nice. What I wanted to let you guys know, you guys can't even see me right now, but I wanted, first of all, I really wanted to apologize for the 30-minute delay that I had in today's live stream. I went live. What did I do? I went live 30 minutes after. I mean, we've gone live for about an hour now, but in reality, I mean, that's still not fair. I was, I stayed up pretty late. We had our team that came to visit, and we were working on just a couple different, just projects that we have going on, not only for the Learn Plan Profit course, but also talking about, how we're going to be able to position, like, the different software that we're developing for the overall group and the overall benefit and stuff like that. You guys can't even see them, but they're all sleeping in the living room and stuff like that. There's like 4 guys that came over from California, and for the past 2 days, that's all we've been doing. So I want to apologize for not uploading yesterday on YouTube. I want to apologize for the 30-minute delay today. It's just been the lack of sleep, which is 100% my fault. We've just been staying up very late, with our meetings and stuff like that, like nonstop, just working. So just wanted to explain to you guys on why that ended up happening. So that's really just it. So thank you guys again for everything it is that you guys do. Hope you guys all have an amazing rest of your Wednesday. Continue working hard, continue following your dreams. Let your passion be what drives in your success. And like always, let's make sure that we end the year on a green note. Hopefully your day goes better than how my OBS is working, right?